Now from Hollywood, California, the horror capital of the world, the Boulet Brothers, creatures of the night.
Hello, Uglies. We are back and we are here to review the Boulet Brothers Dragula Season 3, Episode 5. Welcome, Ian and Swan. How are we feeling today?
Feeling energized, feeling recharged, feeling happy to be joining all of these ladies and gentle thems that are listening in to the newest episode of Creatures of the Night.
I am similarly feeling incredible, and honestly, I'm just ready to stand here and love my leg. The time has come.
Same.
What I love is your background. This is your streaming room, right?
Yeah, this is where I stream from.
I
It's my
love
office.
it. I think it looks so cool.
Oh my god, thank you so much. Thank you. I love it too. It's definitely my spooky. Oh my god, Swan.
Yeah, it's all right. It's cute.
Oh my god. I would change not a single thing about my background.
From the candles to the skull to the coffin, I would change nothing.
And I'll whip my tits out in every white gay man bar.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's get into this episode. So we start with our intro for the episode, which it shows us becoming more and more unhinged. We start cleaning up, you know, where all the bodies we've killed in that house are, which, what do we call it? It's some kind of like safe house or something.
Yeah, Drax's not mad at Israel. She's mad at the blood.
Right, exactly. That whole mommy dearest thing. And,
Yes.
you know, it was just fun to yell at Israel and Aram. It always is.
It's true. And then dragging his carcass out to the trash and just leaving Aram dead on the corner. That was a highlight for me.
I think
So
too.
hot.
I know there was a lot of hot guys around back then, weren't there?
Yeah, this was like the hot guy renaissance. This was right before the pandemic. We were still doing Queen Kong, and there was hot man titty aplenty.
And they were all milling about all the time, like between the clubs and the show and everything. They were just always around. It was cool.
It's
And
true.
they have their own drag drama in their little muscle communities. It's kind of hysterical.
Drag drama.
Muscle drag.
Yes, it really is. It's
Oh, absolutely.
It's man drag for sure. I'm like, if you're wearing more makeup than me and I'm a drag queen, you're in drag too. You painted your tits
Honey.
on. Let's be honest. You painted your pecs on.
Mama, that's a chest contour, and don't even get me started about the plastic surgery, honey.
All right. So this episode is trash, which is such a fun challenge. I was really excited to do it. It starts off on a little bit of a weird foot because Priscilla starts to talk about her history and her struggles with addiction and all that sort of thing. What did you all think of rewatching that?
I think this is a story that a lot of people can relate to, whether you're queer or part of the drag community or not. And my heart was kind of breaking to imagine Priscilla knowing where they come from and then learning that they have this history with addiction and being labeled as just nasty and trashy. And the word trash or trash queen, I think, has a different meaning for an artist like Priscilla than it does for everybody else. And I think it was really enlightening to hear this perspective.
Yeah, I know that I have in the past said that I don't always love the emotional moments of the show because I have my own feelings on it, but this is definitely one of those moments where I'm looking at someone pouring their legitimate heart out. You know, this is someone's lived experience, and I just love Priscilla. I really do. And I'm proud of her.
If I remember correctly, she was very newly sober when she came to the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was also, you know, sort of struggling with her identity as a trans person. I think even a teeny bit during this time. But then, as you know, in Resurrection, she makes a full transformation, basically.
It's kind of interesting as a time capsule to go and see Priscilla kind of pre-transitioning during this period and learning about some of their challenges and then knowing what ends up happening. It's very cool.
I think it's really mature to be able to embrace all that too, because I could imagine once you figure out who you are and you become who you are, looking back, you might be like, oh goddamn, I wish I hadn't shown myself incomplete in that time. But at the same time, I think it shows a lot of interesting growth
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should take exactly what you just said, Drac, and apply it to yourself in reference to season 1 and earlier iterations of our drag. Because I know sometimes you look back and you're like, I'll quote Disasterina, cringy. But I always say that was just part of our path to get us where we are today.
I hate it. How's that for maturity?
Perfect.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
So then they have to do their makeup with magic markers, which is still one of my favorite moments from the show when Louisiana turns around and it's like, well, listen up, honeys, we got a lot of work to do.
With her prison
Oh.
tattoo, the barbed wire on her forehead, it's so good.
I love it. And I love that they just were gung-ho and did their makeup with permanent markers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's so- I love this scene too, because after the last episode, and even when I was watching the episodes, I watched them back to back, seeing how happy everyone is. And of course, Priscilla has a little bit of static with Hollow, and there is drama that happens here. But to see everyone sort of say, okay, hey, we're going to dust ourselves off from that really dark emotional moment of episode 4. Let's have some fun. I'm like, oh God, this season is so good.
It is. It's a
It's
lot of ups
true.
and downs. And you know what else is good is our floor show intro look, our roach dress.
Ooh.
I
know.
love that outfit.
Yeah, and Austin with pink hair and pink eyebrows and stuff. Like this was before we really cemented that kind of silver banshee color that we always wear now. We were back then we were taking risks. Like we would wear red hair or pink hair or sometimes black hair. I sort of miss that.
Too many drag queens now. You have to really solidify who you are in your look.
Every time
You
I
can
hear
get people confused.
Wow.
Like paint yourself green and never change. That's the only way you're going to stand out.
Got it. 2D all the way, honey.
You need to be a green cyclops. That's the only way you're going to stand out in the world of drag today.
Who are you supposed to be, Mary Cherry?
Ooh!
You did do a green.
She literally did a green cyclops.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, see, that's what she. Hey, she made an impact.
Well, hey, I have to ask, if you're going to do a green cyclops, do you think it's also a requirement that you make sure that one of your makeup brushes is just stuck to your wig?
Well, as long as you have one stuck to the sleeve of your shirt too.
Girl. Oh man.
Yeah, so this roach look was basically a updated fashion latex version of Tracy Turnblad
Turnblad.
from Hairspray.
Mhm.
Yeah. Before it was a musical and all that, when it was just a dirty little filth covered.
And
Oh.
also before Alaska also wore her version of Tracy Turnblad's roach dress. The Boulets were there first.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've seen a couple
ooh.
people do it since then. I think Nina West did one too, I think, like that. But ours was the only latex cutie little cunty one.
Mm-hmm. With that little half cape too. Like I live for that costume.
Me too.
Love a capelet. Love a capelet.
My favorite part of the capelet is when mine was crooked
Mhm.
and nobody from the crew bothered to fucking tell me for the whole fucking thing.
I was so pissed in editing. I remember sitting there like, we need another take. We need another take. Wait a minute. Oh my, we don't have a take where Drac doesn't look crooked? What the fuck?
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the floor show. What did you all think of these looks looking back on them now?
Priscilla's amazing. Dahlia is also amazing. Like, wow,
Yeah.
that rat queen is so good.
The Rat Queen eats trash, and Priscilla's is just unbelievable. I want to give a special shout out to Madeline Hatter, because when Madeline was describing what her look was going to be in the boudoir, it's Elizabethan, it's giving this, it's the color story. I was like, what is this look? Like, what do you come out looking like? And then the second she stepped on stage, I was like, oh, you're about to spray paint your face.
Oh, really?
All right. This season has a lot of those moments for me where I don't remember exactly what's going to happen. And then like a flash of lightning, I'll be like, oh, right, you're about to do something crazy.
It's interesting because there's some people that come on the show and there's certain challenges you can tell that they cannot wrap their head around it. They're trying to put their best foot forward, but they legitimately do not understand it. And I feel like that's what happened in this instant. It was like, oh, it'll be wild if I spray paint my face. Yes, it will, but what does that have to do with, Yeah.
It's gonna be wild, all right. Priscilla looked amazing. I thought Dahlia looked great. I also really love Louisiana's look for this one. I know Louisiana receives really high marks, but there's a comment, I want to say, Drac, you make it in episode 4 about Louisiana taking the notes and applying them. And I felt like this was the moment where I really saw Louisiana saying, I didn't show up with this as my concept, but I'm going to rapidly change. I'm just going to grow and elevate and do all this kind of stuff. And I love that. I think Eva looks cool, even though, again, not a super loud look. And I don't love when people scream during floor shows. That's it. That's it.
Oh, right. Landon's merman trash barnacle
Yeah.
look.
I mean, he looks great. It just...
You know what? He gave
It's
it his
true.
all.
He did.
The
And
look
he's
was cool,
an
though.
icon.
But I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, Landon, this look is amazing. Are you sure you want to lay down for the whole floor show? And he's like, yep, I'm sure. I was like, just stand up and show everybody your
Yeah.
look.
That's a tricky thing to pull off, and it's been on other shows too, where people do like Mermaid, and I think Aquaria's answer to that was like, roll me in a wheelchair. The truth is, if you're not walking, it just doesn't make sense. It's like fishtails should be left at home in a drag show.
Maybe
Yeah.
so.
My favorite thing about that, and it's interesting, Landon is so thought out, so put together. I mean, Landon is that kind of artist. Like every single detail has a story and everything has its place. Except for when we asked Landon, hey, Landon, what is your plan for Judgment? And he goes, what do you mean? And I'm like, can you stand in this look? No, I cannot. Got it. So are you planning on laying on the stage? Haven't thought about it.
Oh,
And I'm like,
that's
go
one of those
off, King.
production
Go
secrets
off.
that I don't even think I was aware of at the time.
Okay, well, this is actually fun then, because if you watch the episode, Landon is wearing black jeans during Judgment, and he's holding his tail.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, this was a memorable judgment for multiple reasons, but one in particular, because this is Hollow's ultimate meltdown, right?
And before we deep dive, because the look wasn't the only part of the trash challenge, we have interviews with the Disaster Arena, and then the judgment of all judgments is up on deck. But before we go there, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, my darlings. My gavel is ready. Let's judge.
Yeah, so this was a very interesting judgment. Honestly, a lot of season 3 was interesting in the judgment department. Yeah, you know, this is where Hollow really sort of goes nuclear, I would say, right?
And I think we get a little hint of it from the Disaster Arena interview, where Disaster Arena is such a fun, kooky, like curveball character. So what were you thinking with your look here? Tell us what the story is. And Hollow, you can see, like, starts off kind of normal, right? Kind of like baseline, and then just instantly just ramps up into this like frenzy. And Disaster Arena lets Hollow do like the whole thing. Wow, real serious stuff. Like, you really
One of the things about this moment that was always confusing to me is that up until this point, you know, pronouns, which were a very new thing in season 3, Hollow's pronouns were very, very important to them in terms of how you refer to them. Now, when they filled out the application, it was like, oh, I'm cool with anything. But once you're on set, it was like, you know, you have to make sure, which is fine. Like, you want to respect people's pronouns, but it was always they, them, and literally, I'm not a woman. And then in this instance, they go, I know I'm loud, but sometimes women should just be listened to, and I'm only here to be judged by women and all this sort of thing. That confused the hell out of me. What do you guys
it was
think?
confusing. I think it's an inconsistency, and it just sort of is what it is. It's on TV. Everybody can see it.
And even just sort of beyond that, the way that this happened, I think, was just confusing, because like you said, not only are we now very deep into the conversation about pronouns and about women and all of everything that happens on the show, but also this outburst kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, Hollow is in the bottom for the first time and is suddenly, I mean, it is on. And I'm like, whoa, didn't realize it was that deep.
Yeah. Odd thing was there was a woman judge that episode too.
It almost felt like Hollow was grasping at straws to prove a point, make a scene. I don't remember who it is in the episode that says it. It's either Landon or Louisiana, but they say, I think Hollow is misunderstanding where the judges' critiques are coming from. The judges like the look. It's not about the concept. It's about the execution that's happening. And I think that Hollow twisted what was being said. And when you look at everyone else, I mean, Hollow looks awesome from the waist up, but then the waist down there's no costume. It just felt like Hollow decided, this is the pillar that I'm going to stand on to make my point.
And I think it ultimately, and I could be wrong, I feel like it had a little bit more to do with getting negative critiques the previous episode and this episode, because that's when the change occurred. Maybe that's the case, maybe it wasn't. And maybe, you know, as you mature in life, sometimes you look back and say, oh, actually I was pissed because I was at the bottom, but I actually made it about this. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but it's possible. I just think when you, and we talked about this last episode, when you just decide you're going to villainize something or someone, or, you know, whether it's the show or the judges or whatever, I think you just sort of become unreasonable. You can gaslight yourself into being like, this person is X, Y, and Z. They're terrible. They've done this. They've done that. When really the reason you're hating them has nothing to do with any of those reasons. It's your own things going on in your head, I think.
I could see that. I see this very simply. Artists need to, at some point in their career, walk over the bridge, walk through the fire of getting critiqued by other artists. It's not the easiest thing to do. In my history, I went to art school. I remember the first time I put a painting on the wall and then 30 other artists told me what I could do different or better or whatever. It's humbling, but it's really in the spirit of trying to think in a different way and inspire you to be innovative instead of an attack. And I think maybe Hollow took it as an attack.
Well, I think, you know, afterwards, the whole, like, I wouldn't change anything, and, you know, all these sort of, you know, kind of just being very angry, it did give what you're saying. Like, I remember my first year in art school. Before that, you know, your friends, your family, everyone's like, your art's so great, blah, blah, blah. And then you go to art school and you're like, well, damn, you just ripped my wig right off and kicked me down the hall. But you get used to it. And even if someone offers you critique that you don't necessarily agree with, sometimes you can glean some things from even the rudest critique.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a little kind of a microcosm lesson in the macro, which is your art, your TV show, your dance routine, the video you make, whatever it is, not everyone's going to love it. Not everyone is going to, and they don't have to. Right. That's fine. It's like to each their own, and everybody has different tastes. I think you just got to kind of get to that place where you're okay with people maybe not agreeing with your approach to your own expression.
100%. I think it's interesting, though, that an artist as skilled and seasoned as Hollow at this point, I mean, Hollow is not new on the scene. Hollow was infamous at this point. For this to be the reaction feels very extreme, because you're on a competition show, and Hollow makes several references throughout the show of this is a competition to Yovska, and trying to lift other artists up by reminding them that it's a competition, and it's sometimes in competition or on a TV show, you have to make the decision of your art versus winning the show or what have you. And so then for Hollow to not be able to see that in themselves was just really intense and just kind of out of nowhere.
I think it also speaks to, if you're not doing well at a certain point in the competition and you sort of go home every night and you bitch with other people who aren't doing well, and you conspire and you start almost gaslighting each other to be like, this is horrible. All of a sudden you have an unreasonable opinion that's sort of coming out of nowhere. And I think that's kind of what was happening, to be honest. I think that the behavior was deplorable. I think it was a disrespect to the crew, the cast, and the spirit of the show. It was insulting. That's what I think.
I agree. And I think we just take further steps down the path of insult. Post-judgment, we have Eva having a moment, really bearing their soul, something raw, right? Like Eva to this point, I think, was very measured and choosing their words wisely. But here we have someone who's like, no, this is my struggle. Like, this is what I've been dealing with. And it's this, and it's this. And you have this kind of powerful moment. and literally out of the shadows, over their shoulder comes Hollow and just kind of takes over the narrative. And you have this fucking amazing exchange. I mean, Hollow is going off, kind of taking a little bit of, my name is Eve, Hollow Eve of Destruction. I am an extermination challenge. I'm not made for TV. And maybe I'll be here and maybe I won't. And Eva is seething, just seething in the foreground with too much tact to turn around and like let Hollow have it. But obviously they're going through something. And my favorite moment of the episode, pan over to our rat queen. Dahlia's sitting there as Hollow's like pull the ripcord and the rat eyes are rolling so hard, and I was cracking up.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, it's great TV. Like I love it. Like watching it, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I've always said it to this day. I'm like, I would bring them back on Titans or something because I'm like, it's incredible. But I think if you could become self-aware of that and just sort of get on stage, click something in your head and become that person, but then when you're done, click it off and go home and just have a happy life. There was a lot more happening behind the scenes too. There was, and you said it got cut, Ian, the comment about the crew.
The coked out.
Remember, what that comment was?
It's a part of Hollow's outburst. And I don't remember the exact wording, but it's basically saying the producers are coked out whores. And it goes on. And it actually, it became one of the producers' like favorite things. Like you just run around and say like, oh, just a bunch of coked out whores. Like, okay.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like with all the like everything's offensive. I'm like, is it not offensive to call people whores?
I think the word faggot was used too.
I don't do coke, so let me just put that out.
What's funny though is we have said it many times, like as crazy as the show and its characters appear, we often edit people to look a little bit better because we don't want them getting hate outside the show, like in the fallout. But this like coked out horrors comment, we got receipts. We have the clip, we have the audio and the visual. Like it's there, it exists. And sometimes I just wish someone would be like, prove it, because we can.
Yeah.
I didn't know it got cut. In my head, I always thought it was there until we did this rewatch. And did we miss it?
Maybe. I feel like I was looking out for it. I mean, there's definitely moments where I'm like, oh, yes, clocked it. But I feel like it's not there.
I agree. We cut that.
Huh. You know what it might have been? I think we had audio of it, but Hollow hadn't came through into the lab yet. They were on the other side of the wall, and we didn't want to show the back of the set.
Okay.
Back then.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the big consensuses of this rewatch is watching it as a fan, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, like put it on repeat. I love it. As a producer and as someone who helped create it, it's a strange watch, but I really just salute Hollow for I Love My Leg because I don't even know where that comes from. Like even rewatching, I was like, why did I say that?
You remember that whole meeting when I was like, it was in post and I watched the cut and I was like, I need us all to get together. And I was like, please tell me what am I missing? But now rewatching it, I think what they were saying is because I made a comment about the costume seemed incomplete from the waist down, but I still don't understand. I love my leg.
I get it.
Only one leg. What about the other one?
Just the one.
Because sometimes something is said, but whoever receives it hears something else. That happens, it absolutely happens. And I think maybe what we were saying was you look really cool from the waist up, but we're incomplete from the waist down. And maybe Hollow took that as some kind of commentary on their exposed legs. That's all I can come up with, but I kind of feel like that's correct.
That wasn't the problem. The problem was it was just fishnets.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And I think the interesting part is the singular noun leg, and I love my legs. Perfect, awesome, but it's just the I love my leg.
You say that like, and someone commented on it like in one of the previous episodes of the podcast. Ian, given a chance, will say I love my leg like no every single time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like on a list of like top quotes of the show. It's like, you're not a monster though. Are you fucking kidding me? And then there's me with my write-in ballot. I love my leg.
Hilarious.
It was a wild experience. Look, I think we've said it enough. It was so much worse behind the scenes. There was so much that was cut from it. I don't know that necessarily did us any favors in the long run because it seems like our perception is different than what the audience's perception is. But that's what this recap podcast is for. And I kind of want to put a disclaimer out there. Please don't go back and harass these people about anything. I mean, this was like almost 10 years ago at this point. Everyone was very young. I'm sure it's a completely different story now. So I don't want to judge them on who they are as people in real life today. It's more about the commentary about their character when they were on the show in that particular
Agreed.
forum. All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will answer your listener question. We are back, and we are ready to answer all of your nosy listener questions. Ian, will you do the honors?
Absolutely, I would be honored. Kristen from Dallas writes, what made you decide to have the Uglies out of drag for the confessionals starting in season 3? Also, who is Clint, and did he indeed fuck the big picture?
So we decided to take them out of drag for confessionals because in season 2, they were in drag, as we all know. And I felt that you weren't getting the same level of authenticity. So I wanted people to be able to see who is the person behind this drag creation. And that's where that came
I think there were other reasons too. When you look at drag, because the way you can present is so different from episode to episode. Like sometimes when the characters were in drag in the confessionals, the audience was confused. I mean, the nameplate would come up, but it's like, wait, who's talking? Who is this person? This look is so crazy. And all of that was born out of our experience from drag, because we don't show behind the wizard's curtain. Like you only see the Boulet brothers painted and in face, and that's the way we present. So we wanted to extend that to the competitors to only show their character. But I think as a benefit to the audience, we showed them out of drag in their confessionals so that they could get to know the person behind the creation. And as far as who is Clint, yeah, Clint is a friend of the show. Goes way back in the history of the Boulets living in Los Angeles. He is a published author. He was very influential in the nightlife scene, old school goth character, I think, in nightlife, and someone who was working in production at the time. So
yeah, he worked on Top Model as a story producer, and he came in to be a story producer on ours. Here's the weird thing about it. I thought the cast was going to love Clint because there was nobody that was more authentic in the punk and goth scene than Clint Catalyst. And everybody knew who Clint Catalyst was. I mean, anyone that has anything to do with goth culture knows who Clint was and was always on the side of right. But this cast demonized the hell out of Clint. And I just feel like he just walked out the other side like, what just happened? How did I get turned into the man?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like,
well,
I
Clint,
don't know.
Clint is a Gen Xer to the core. It's not about like curbing your words or being delicate. It's about just being like a total straight shooter. And this cast, above all other casts, could not really handle that.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't the right fit. I mean, if you're a competitor on the show and you have a touchstone that is on the other side of the show, maybe you would take it a lot more personally if people aren't just by the book with you. I'm giving out a lot of free passes here, everybody. Who wants one?
Kayla from Texas would like a Dracmorta free pass. Kayla from Texas writes, I was wondering if you would consider having Spencer Charnas from the band Ice Nine Kills on the show as a judge. With their songs being influenced by horror movies, I think it would be fun to see. Also, would you ever make a song with them?
So I wouldn't make a song with them, but I'd love to have them on the show. We've actually reached out to them in the past. There's this thing that happens in the world of entertainment where if you go through someone's agent, if you don't have a personal connection, you might as well send your email to the trash because these agents and managers and everything in between you and the actual celebrity are awful, and they always are. And most of the people you see on the show are either friends of ours or friends of friends or have asked to be on, like even Vanessa Hudgens asked to be on the show. And we're like, of course, yeah. So I'd love to have them on. Can we ever get in their face? I don't know.
Nemesis from France writes, I wanted to know your opinion on the Antler Queen reveal from the Yellow Jackets season 3 ending. Are you happy about it? Overall, I thought it was a great season and I can't wait to hear your review. Also, this one is for Ian. How did you like the ending of the OG Resident Evil game? Sorry I missed the last stream.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I thought you guys were going to talk about
Swan.
Hannah.
I'm like, answer the Yellow Jackets.
As far as the whole season, I'm not sure that it was my favorite season of Yellow Jackets. I am still hooked, though. Like, when the next season comes out, I will be watching. This reveal of the Antler Queen's identity was kind of satisfying to me. I think the assumption was that it was Lottie, because Lottie is sort of the spiritual leader of the childhood kind of gang of girls. Well, there's a guy in there too, but who cares? The gang of girls. And we learned that they actually have a warrior queen, which I thought was really in keeping with the messaging and the spirit of the show.
I did not like it. I did not like the reveal because I was hoping someone would finally check that bitch, and they didn't. So here we go. I'm not going to spoil it because
I was very careful about my wording too.
I bet you'll never be able to guess who I'm talking about.
I really appreciate you both trying to not spoil it, because I was over here like selectively muting and unmuting my headphones the whole time you were talking. I was like, ooh, let me not hear that. Let me not hear that. But yeah.
Now, what about the question they asked you about the ending of the OG Resident Evil game?
I loved it. I loved it. This was my first time playing the original Resident Evil. And just for y'all, this is the one with the fixed camera angles. It's the classic, came out in the 90s. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It's weird. Resident Evil is such a strange franchise. Like, they're all really spooky and weird, and they're zombies. And then suddenly you're in an underground lab and it's like bioterrorism. And so I just love them. I think they're campy and ridiculous. Although I did not save my hot and huscular boyfriend. I accidentally left him in the laboratory at the end of the game.
Wait,
so
now, were you a male character or a female character?
Oh, I was a female character.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So they won't let you be
Wait.
gay. Too
Well, they won't let me, but I still am.
Okay, who cares? Huscular?
Yeah,
I've never heard
Oh,
huscular, and I'm a fan.
yes, hot and huscular. Mm-hmm. Mama, we're talking corn-fed, hot and huscular, honey. Ari asks, since the season 4 tour, I've had a tradition of bringing friends that are Dragula virgins and sometimes drag virgins to the tour. They tend to worry about etiquette. So if you could all give any advice for some first-time Boulet Brothers Dragula tour attendees, what would it be? P.S. So far, every friend I've done this with has had a great time and has been blown away by the drag. Even my friend that got whacked in the face by a Hershey miniature dragged through last tour. She still laughs about it.
That is funny.
Don't scream trick or treat if you don't want it.
I would say don't overthink it, right? You're going to a show, so just plan to have fun. Use common sense. I know there's a shortage of it in today's world, but use some common sense and just treat people with respect and dress up, express yourself. You're kind of in a safe space, even though it's like punk rock and wild, and you are going to have a good time.
Narcissa from Houston writes, I'm re-listening to the latest episode where you review the Monsters of Rock challenge with my mother, and we're both still kind of flabbergasted by Hollow Eve's reaction to Madeline Hatter pulling the needles too soon. Is there some context that we're missing? Was there an agreed upon timing of when they should be pulled out, or was what we saw all the context there is? The reaction just felt out of left field for the scene.
Well, like we've said several times, like we have to make edits and kind of shorten the story just so it can come across. And that segment was much longer. The meltdown, as we'll call it, after the needles were pulled. The context was this was a stunt that was going to feature Hollow kind of flexing one of their skills on stage, and Madeline pulled them too early. And Hollow just wasn't ready for it. And instead of kind of like rolling with it and going on with the show, it just stunned the performance and brought everything to a grinding halt.
But it wasn't painful, right? Because I still to this day don't know what happened. Ian, do you know?
I don't really know. I don't think it's painful. My thought is that really there is no context we're missing. And that's the crazy part, is there was an agreed upon time and Madeline was early. That much I know. But beyond that, I think everyone's confusion is kind of unified.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. Itch from Nashville asks, flashback to the Holiday of Horrors challenge, the floor show specifically, which Desiree had her chicken and her exposed sex toy. One would, of course, imply that she fucked the chicken, but there was no released footage of it. Am I wrong to imply that, or did the footage not make it to the final edit? If the second, why do you think you or the show was limited or filtered in a way, depriving us viewers of something so filthy, punk, and boundary pushing? Because I, for one, would have loved to see it.
I can just speak from my own personal opinion. It was unnecessary. That's how I feel. I got to tell you, I am down for Filth pushing the boundaries, and I'm very tolerant of all that. But I really don't like to see animal carcasses being like sexually. Yeah, I don't like it. And that's the truth. I didn't think it was important to the story. The implication is there. You don't need to see the whole OnlyFans of it.
AKA, Miss Thing, you don't want it. You don't want to see that. I think if it was sort of the punctuation on the sentence, then we would have absolutely included it. But this performance was, in my opinion, all over the place. We had a pilgrim that kind of looked like something else, and it was a chicken, not a turkey. And then it was, we're fisting it, we're slobbering. I have a dildo. Like, it just didn't make any. I was like, we don't need to go as far and as nasty as possible, just to show every crazy thing you could possibly do with the chicken carcass. So we decided to edit it. Miss Thing, you don't want it.
Also, we have had pet chickens, and I love chickens, and I don't think you should do that with them. All right, everybody, that is all for this episode of the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night. Make sure you join us next week when we dig into episode 6. Maybe we'll do 6 and 7 together because it gets a little quieter after episode 5. But anyways, join us back here. We will discuss the episode and answer more of your listener questions. Make sure you get your tickets to the Dragula Live Tour at dragulalive.com, and make sure you rate, subscribe, and review the podcast wherever you listen to it. Oh, and you can send your listener questions into us at creatures@bouletbrothersdragula.com. We'll see you next time, Uglies.
The Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night is hosted by the Boulet Brothers with their co-host and producer, Ian DeVogler, with music by Neuron Spector.